So Helen Anderson, this is Helen Anderson, everybody, and I would like you to tell everybody what your art form is.
Well, I count myself as a writer and a poet. I'm a writer of memoir and fiction and poetry, and I love to perform the poetry. So that's why I've been invited, I think, on the basis of my poetry performances. But I write all sorts. I dabble.
Well, yes, and I can't wait for you to come back to a live performance. Really can't. How did you first get involved in writing? When and how did you first get involved in writing? Have you always been a writer from, a secret writer, or is it just a recent thing? Or
Well, as a child, I was a terrible swot. And when you were allowed to choose your activity, I used to sit and write stories at school, while everybody else was running about. But then I kind of felt like it was almost something to be a bit embarrassed about, so I sort of stopped writing until I picked it up again when I was about 40, and it was in a period of when I was very seriously depressed, and some of my mental health carers suggested I write my feelings down. And it was just really great to connect with with that part of myself again.
Yeah, therapeutic writing. I think it's underestimated actually how powerful it is as a tool, really, to help people through really bad times, isn't it? It's amazing how many people you meet who have used it for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and especially I guess through this lockdown and after it, we're going to see some amazing writing.
Yeah, I think so. It's like I still do look for self-expression. Still an important part of my mental health recovery, or maintaining my mental health.
Yeah.
But, also, then there comes a point where you can't just inflict what you've spilt onto the page. You can't just inflict it in raw form on other people. So I like to. Some of it stays for myself.
Yeah. I think you've got to keep some of it for yourself, haven't you? But then also, what you feel. Sorry. I think sometimes what you feel is very personal as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's always somebody there who connects to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always somebody who is going through a similar thing, or been through a similar thing, or knows somebody. And I think sometimes hearing somebody else voice it is massive.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's really drawn me to reading and performing my poetry at events is that kind of joy of connection with other people, or seeing a look of recognition, or somebody coming up to saying afterwards, "Oh yeah, I really related to that." And it's great for helping you feel sort of less isolated. So I'm sort of helping myself, but I'm also hopefully helping others a bit. So.
Yeah. I think that's all of that is true. Yeah. So what or who or when who inspired you to get involved in or what inspired you to get involved in writing?
Well, so when I started off just doing it when I was not very well, just a self-expression. And then gradually people suggested to me I might go to evening classes and local adult education. So I did that for a few years and really enjoyed it. Got my confidence up a bit. And then I applied to do the MA in creative writing at Teesside University. I was really nervous, and I was every term I was oh, if I still feel this nervous, next term I won't go anymore. But it was really such a great thing for me to do on a personal level. It really helped me and opened my eyes up to a world that I didn't really know was out there.
Yeah. So that will have been with Bob and Andy.
Yeah. So I was going to say inevitably Andy was my main creative writing tutor, Andy Willoughby, and I had Bob Beagrie as my poetry tutor. Just both such great tutors and teachers, so I think inevitably my work's influenced by them.
Yeah. Do you know, it's amazing how many times their name comes up.
Yeah, but that's no bad thing. Yeah.
Oh no, I think it's a fantastic thing. I think they need to have an award or something, don't you? Teesside award or something for inspiring so many poets to come to the stage.
I think they're both so encouraging and don't make you feel silly for lack of knowledge and stuff, because I'd only ever really learned about very traditional poetry at school. So it was and it still is a huge learning curve for me.
Yeah.
So I think the important thing is to admit that and just enjoy it and enjoy the learning.
Yeah, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Who are your major influences or inspirations now and then?
I think the person whose writing more spoke to me when I was doing the MA was Anne Sexton, who was a contemporary of Sylvia Plath's, and her honest writing about mental illness and about general womanhood, confessional stuff. Some people sort of dismiss it a bit as confessional, but I think that's great. It really, her honesty and some of the brutal imagery and stuff really spoke to me.
Carry on.
And I was just going to say, well, and now it's like asking somebody what kind of music you like. I think it's like different poetry for different moods and times.
Yeah.
And I love a bit of protest poetry, and I love engaging with all kind of different poets at performance nights. But I'm kind of drawn towards possibly more gentle poetry that seems kind of quite quiet, but then it just like packs a punch and really touches you.
Yeah.
And I like lots of local poets that I really admire like that, like Jo Colley, Janet Philo, Harry Gallagher, Pippa Little.
Yeah.
Loads that I love it, that it's kind of, they're quite unassuming, but then you just think, wow, and it goes away, and the poems kind of stay with you when you
Yeah. Well, I kind of think I would describe your poetry like that, actually, Helen.
All right. Oh well, thank you. I'll take that.
No, I would. It's very kind of still, but yeah, it's like, oh God, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've read a couple that you did on celebrating change. I was just like, oh God, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would definitely put you in that category.
Oh, right.
Powerful.
Yeah.
I know your formal education, but so it was really the getting your help through your mental health when you were in your 40s, you say, that kind of got you into formal education. That path led you to that.
Yeah, I just kind of I just thought it was something for other people. Poetry something for other people, and also there's this whole thing about you feel a little bit, well, I do, I'll speak for myself then, I feel a bit pretentious about saying, oh yes, I'm a writer and I'm a poet, and it gives me that great imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was other people encouraging me to think, well, it is something you can do as well, it's something for everyone.
Yeah. I think that's a major thing, isn't it? I think especially for women, and I think especially for I mean, obviously I'm speaking from my own experience now, but older working class women, I think it's a massive thing, isn't it? That you know, oh God, dare I? Yeah. And I think it's great that you do with that, because obviously you're a beacon for other poets who are feeling the same. So yeah, keep on, sister.
Thank you. I find it great being part of, like, obviously when you go to live events and meeting other poets, and you can just see it's great to be with people for whom it's part of their life, very much part of their life as well, and who understand how mad you are about words. And also being part of Saltburn Writers Group, which is set up about 3 years ago now, I think, 3.5 years ago now. It's so great to be part of a supportive network, all encouraging each other. And we don't allow any talk about being a fraud or about us rubbish and stuff. So that's really great.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Yeah, that is very, very important. Where do you practice? Where do you write? Have you got a process? Are you organised, disorganised? You got a desk?
I am lucky. I have a writing room, but I'm really naughty and I hardly ever go in there because I'm so rebellious. And if I go in there, I've promised I'm going to do something, and then I seize up because of the pressure. So I'll just write anyway. So I've got a writing room, which is really lucky. But I kind of write all over the house, in bed. I like to go out in normal times in a coffee shop or on a windy bench. Just anywhere where I can get myself in the zone. And yeah, do rough notes, and then usually look at them a few days later and see if there's anything else in there that I'd like to polish up.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's quite that's quite funny actually. You've got a room,
yeah.
but when you go in that room, you feel the pressure.
It's terrible, because before I was like, oh, well, I haven't, when I had a busy family life, I was like, it's so unfair, I can't write because the room, the house is so busy.
Yeah.
Now my house is a lot quieter, and I've actually got a dedicated room, but it's obviously not external things that are stopping me
Yes.
from writing. I think it's my own fear of failure stopping
Yeah,
me.
yeah, absolutely. It's like, I suppose, it kind of with lockdown, you know, we've all those writers have been given all the time in the world,
I
haven't
know.
we? And then you suddenly realise, actually, it's not lack of time that's
No.
stopping me writing. Yeah, yeah. That was like a massive thing for me. Do you practice, if you've got a performance coming up, do you practice? Obviously we all practice,
Yeah.
but do you practice, have you got a routine that you do, or a system or a way of doing it?
Well, for a start, if I know I'm going to do a performance like as a featured poet, so if I'm going to do a full set, I would print out my poems in big print.
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than like squinting middle-aged lady, like having a good squint. So yeah, I would print it out, and I even, yeah, and then I practice reading it through. I would record it, and record myself reading it through and play it back. And where I want to put more expression, I might even print out the word in bold, or
Yeah.
highlight it or something. So
Yeah.
that I'm aware when I come to do the performance.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any great like routines I have to do for good luck or anything like that. But I would normally practice in a couple of weeks before running up, just to make sure that I'm more familiar with the words.
Yeah.
I've never yet managed to not have the page in front of me. I really, really admire people who can memorize the poems.
Yeah, yeah. I think,
Even
yeah.
when I know it really well, I like to have the page as kind of as a crutch, and it's like the minute I try and put the page down, even though I know it, my mind just goes, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe doing it once. The secret to that, I think, because I'm the same. I've done some performances without the page, but it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And I think the secret to it is to not have your paper anywhere near the stage.
Because it's too easy. It's too easy to just go for it, isn't it?
Yeah, because if you've got it somewhere, then I think in your head, you think, oh, it's there if I forget it. And then when you do forget it, then you pick it, you go to pick it up. And I think that's the secret. I think if next time you decide, right, I am going to do it, then leave your paper on your chair or wherever. Don't take it with you, because then you're forced to kind of improvise.
Yeah, I think that would be the next step for me, to improving my performance skills, because I kind of read it hopefully with the expression, but yeah, it's reading, and I would like to be able to perform it. Yeah.
Like, but then again, I don't think it and I'm sure you feel the same. You see so many different poets performing, and I don't think it takes anything away or is any less of a performance if you read it. Because because it depends on what the poem's about, and who the person is who's reading it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's any. So do it in your own time when you're ready. Anyway, the creative arts. Why are they important to you personally? And I know this is a huge question, so answer it as best you can. Generally,
personally, as I've said, it's like been wonderful as a form of self-expression for me to write and share my poetry, and it's very important, like that connection that I've been talking about. So it's been very important to my mental health. Also, as people's poetry, it just enforces that sense of connection and identity. For me, performing's been great for my confidence, expanding my social circle. I think more generally, creative arts in general, exposes to different people's viewpoints and life experiences.
Yeah.
So it's like, even though I've probably had quite a sheltered existence, I'm able to tap into other people's very varied experiences.
Yeah.
And just be less insular and get an idea of what a very big wide creative world it is out there.
Yeah, I agree completely. And finally, Helen,
Yes.
how has lockdown been for you? You've been super creative, hiding away. Yeah, how has it been?
For me, I've tried to keep going, but I think, and I have been journaling and writing bits and bobs. I'm finding it difficult to get anything finished, but it's just because there's this sort of low-level anxiety underneath, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like a low-level distraction all the time.
Yeah.
But I've more and more turned to poetry during lockdown because it's something that you can do in manageable chunks, and
Yeah.
and it's been useful from the point of view of self-expression.
Yeah.
So I've totally abandoned like any attempts to finish my novel, and just been focusing on writing little bits of flash fiction and poetry, and I found that's been manageable and enjoyable. I've missed face-to-face meetings with people. I've started with my writers group to run Zoom, and we're trying to run them as proper sessions. It's not quite the same, but it's better than nothing.
All right. So you still do? Oh, so you're still doing your writers group through Zoom? Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So that's been nice, and that's actually enabled some people to join in who couldn't actually make the physical meeting.
Yeah, which is a thing we should keep going afterwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somehow accessibility. Yeah.
And similarly, I've been doing workshops with Dan Simpson, who's a poet from London.
Yeah.
More or less weekly, and that's been great because it's, normally I wouldn't have been able to access his workshops if they were held in London. So I think it's got pros and cons, and it's just made us think maybe it's a bit more creatively about connecting.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
If life ever goes back to normal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Because who knows?
Hopefully we can pick the best bits of each.
Yeah.
So face-to-face events and face-to-face meetings, but then also think about distance.
Yeah.
Connecting with people remotely and accessibility for people who can't get out. Yeah,
I agree completely. Well, thank you so much, Helen. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your words.
Oh, thank you for listening to my wisdom.
Yeah. So have a wonderful rest of day.
Thank you.
And I hope another lockdown doesn't come.
I know, so do I.
And
Yeah.
Do have a gig at we do have Harriet Shanty, in a couple of weeks. Yes. If you feel you could come.
Yeah, I think it depends what the situation is then, but I would like.
I know, because we might have to cancel it yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Okay. But if you feel like you want to come, it's very safe.
I've heard that it's very safe environment we created.
Yes, it is.
I feel reassured.
Yeah. So if not, I'll see you soon, hopefully, and take care. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.